Music?
Yeah.
Coming from the building? Oh, they got that gate open now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dear, you want to look? It's Bambi.
Oh, God. Of course you saw that right away.
What are you doing? Hey, look. Chart. That's the courses they would have.
Yeah. First course, second
June.
course, third
This is
course.
what they would have in June. For every month, there would be something.
Awesome.
July was like turnips and stuff. Like,
Well, it'd be whatever they could grow.
and in June it was basically like it's like December that had the difference.
Oh. Senior officer's bedroom. Pretty cool, eh? I was gonna say, you knew this was somebody's.
I was gonna say this would be one of the senior officers' bedrooms. Because it's more of a first class look. So it would definitely be the senior officers. Main officers would have like something like this, but a little bit worse conditioning.
Majesty King George III.
Maybe before the Queen.
Majesty Queen Charlotte.
Welcome everyone to the officers' quarters.
Oh, wow.
They lived life really nicely, huh?
And that's exactly what they would like you to think, because their goal was to emulate life in well-to-do England. So they were bringing a slice of English life with them, right down to the china.
Really? And my goodness, they ate like so many courses of meals.
That's right. So the officers had 3 meals a day. They would hire cooks to come in the kitchen out here and cook their breakfast and their lunches. And they would also pay for the food, and also for servants to come in and serve it to them here. And then for the officers' mess in the evening, which was their grand affair, they would pay membership dues to the officers' mess, and also a monthly fee to help cover the costs. And then on top of that, they would have their own intimate dinner parties. So what we have on the left here behind the rope are artifacts from that period, the early 1800s, that show you what a typical dinner party would be like in a senior officer's day room. We call it a day room because in the day he also would have his officer's desk and conduct business here, and then at night it would convert to a dinner party room for him. In the showcase, what we have are actual artifacts specific to Fort George prior to 1813. These were all found in a pit that was excavated by the drain at the rear of the building here in the early 1970s. So there was over 2,200 artifacts of broken china and broken glass. Painstakingly put back together what they could, and this is what we have.
Huh.
We believe it's definitely a dinner party. We think it's an officer's dinner party, not an officer's mess. Officer's mess would have had more place settings. So this is probably a dinner party hosted by one officer, and something happened at that dinner party. Either they drank too much wine and were dancing on the tables, which is what we have some accounts of, or the cat ran through it and created mayhem because the cat skeleton was found in the same pit. Who knows? What we do know is that it was a dinner party that ended up with a pile of broken china and glass.
Can you imagine?
And it
Look
was,
how flat the spoons are. Do
Oh.
you think that was?
now these are just replicated for
Oh, wow.
purpose, for show.
I gotcha.
Because they would not have been broken because they're made of metal.
Sure.
So they would have survived whatever melee happened that night.
Gotcha.
But the bones in the pit show us also what food they were eating. And to your point, yes, they ate well. Because again, they purchased the food. So they were limited only by what they could afford, what was available, and what they liked.
So they had the money.
Most of them did. The junior
Right here
officers,
is
like an ensign, didn't really have the money.
Huh? Oh, that's where we came in.
This is the
on their
soldiers.
salary, but certainly
we.
captain and above.
The mess hall kind of thing.
And also here, obviously, there'd be food. Other times they would actually plan things here too. During, like, if it was like breakfast, lunch, or dinner, they would still have stuff like this. I mean, look. See the Russian flags.
So the original building in 1812 had lieutenant's apartments on the ends, or lieutenant's apartments on the ends, and then imagine in here 4 separate apartments for captains, because a captain was 1 rank above a lieutenant. So lieutenants and captains were junior officers. So this building in actuality hosted junior officers only in the life of it. unfortunately.
Junior officers, what?
This was 4 different apartments.
Yes, originally.
So
So
it's set up like a mess hall here?
that's right. So this building, like every building, has 2 lives. It has a 1812 life, where it had 2 apartments on the end and then 4 here. Then it had this reconstruction line. When it was reconstructed as a historical site. So for interpretation value, we have the senior officers day room and bed medicine, junior officers sitting room and bed medicine.
Did you hear that? It was reconstructed twice.
Look,
So the visitors can get.
this is what the officers would wear.
The red coats.
And the French had blue coats, like Napoleon. But with Napoleon, he had a little feather with his.
Fort Niagara, Niagara on the Lake, Fort George, is Navy Hall. The building that is, was destroyed as the New York Center, just opposite the Carter Street, and it's the limestone building, Navy Hall. And so that's where they were going there and
And where am I right now?
officer sources. Yeah, so this is, so as you can see, our reconstruction is very accurate, Gardens A, B, and C. And then we have the officers mess. Now, what we don't have to is a hospital, we don't have a hospital. And we don't have to do institute officers there. They're part of 7 different structures that we put there for soldiers. So we don't have buildings that we can do that. But what we do have is accurate to the original footprint.
It's your account books.
The materials, the colors, the methods, the exterior.
Well, what's down over here?
Over there.
Why? There's more.
I know.
Oh.
I already seen this.
Oh, okay.
This is his sitting room where the officers would be. This is their gorget. This is their swords. They would even have these curved sabers. This is a British presentation one. This is a military saber, a scarab that they would use. It's not curved fully, and this is what they would use with presentations to go with their British presentation sword back in 1811. This is the junior officer's quarter.
Do you see drums out there in it?
Huh?
Drums?
No, I don't know.
What is this? Oh, officer quarters.
The junior's officer. Yeah. So this would be for like the young officers, like newer. Also, they would have their own
Where's that coming from?
outside.
Well, I know, but where?
Right there.
Where?
Out now.
Oh, maybe it is, because...
Our pipe and drum are getting ready for the presentation. Have you
Oh,
seen
is that over there?
No, they'll do it right here. You can sit under the nice shade of the trees and they will tell you all about what the pipe and drum did and they will give you examples throughout.
Oh, okay.
Love your dog. Always brings us joy when we see people bringing their dogs through.
Want to go sit down? Here, let's sit right here. Use yours.
I think right here.
Oh, let's sit. You don't want to sit in these chairs?
No.
What? Scoot down. I came on this side. 'Cause-
Welcome to Fort George again. The first thing you may notice about us is that we're dressed a little bit differently than what you typically suspect a typical British soldier to be dressed as. But this is accurate. We're portraying the music of the 41st Regiment of Foot, which was stationed here during the War of 1812 and a little bit prior. And the general standard operating procedure for the British Army at this time period was to reverse the cuff and collar color of their general infantry regiments to generate their musicians' coats. Now our regiment, the 41st Regiment, you can see Josh there, he's wearing a 41st Regiment coat, has red cuffs and collars and a red coat. So to get a slightly different pattern, we adopted a white or buff colored coat to help distinguish us. You can also notice that our uniforms are a bit more ornate than the typical infantry soldiers. We're dressed and our coats are lined with very fancy lace. And this is kind of a holdover from a previous time in the British military system. Whereas colonels and commanders of regiments would pour their money into making their soldiers look as fine and as fancy as possible. And fife and drums were considered servants of the colonel, and as such their uniforms were quite a bit more ornate and fancy, and fancier than the typical British soldiers. During this time period, during the War of 1812, fife and drums in the British Army served around three main functions. The first and arguably most important of which was to play duty calls on the battlefield. On the garrison site and on the battlefield. So every day, a fifer and a drummer would be stationed with the officer of the watch in the guardhouse there, and the officer of the watch would tell the drummers to play certain calls throughout the day to help regulate the soldier's day, as the average individual could not afford a watch or a timepiece. At 3:30 in the morning, inside the barracks to wake up. At around 7 o'clock, peas upon a trencher would be sounded. Called the drummer's call, and this was used to summon all the drummers and the fifers to a certain area to execute their duties.
Cool. Attention. Drums. Ready? Drums. Beat.
I did also mention that fife and drums did perform duties on the battlefield, and typically during an engagement, the fife and drums would only play one of two. They would play two calls that you would hear, one being the prepare to fire, and the second one being the ceasefire, and that was a general on and off switch for the commanders of the engagement to be able to turn on the firing and turn off the firing, as other calls from that point on were pretty much pointless, as the fog of war, the yelling and the screaming would make it pretty much impossible to communicate anything else. The fifes and drums could also act as powder monkeys and as messengers. They were able to read and write, and so they could write and carry written messages across the lines. And there'd be one fifer and one drummer per every company of men. On paper, that's around 100 men. In actuality, here in Upper Canada, that's more around 75 to 60 men. But there'd be two musicians per company, and they would be able to sound those calls. So, as an example of a prepare to fire and a ceasefire, I'll demonstrate those for you now. And now the ceasefire. Now you notice that I bring my sticks up as I play those calls, and that's a signal to the officers and to those around me that something is about to happen. It's a kind of a preparatory kind of movement to show that I'm about to play a call, or that we're about to move, or something of that matter. And you'd actually see the drummers raise their sticks all the way up and down the lines as you'd hear those calls echo up and down the line of British soldiers. Now, the second main function that fife and drums would take part in this time period was playing music on the march. Now, this actually served a very practical purpose. In Upper Canada, everywhere you'd be going as a British soldier, you'd be marching, as boats and carts were reserved for cargo, and you had 2 good feet, so you'd be using them. You wanted to regulate how fast your columns and your units would be going to be able to reach your depot points and your destinations on schedule, and to know where you were going to be set up at any given time. And so the fifes and drums would play a cadence from anywhere from 76 to 108 beats per minute, and the soldiers were trained to take a 30-inch pace, and from there you can calculate a rough miles per hour, anywhere from around 2.5 miles an hour to 4.5 miles an hour. So with that, you can figure out where your depot points are going to be, and basically plan out your movement. And while this is happening, the fifes would be playing tunes over top of the drum cadences, and they were typically tunes from your soldiers' recruiting districts, and the soldiers would often know line upon line of often very vulgar music, and so lyrics to these songs, and so you had to watch out where they were being played. So as an example of a stop beating march. So we're going to play The Girl I Left Behind Me, followed by British Grenadiers, 2 classics of this period. The first, Girl I Left Behind Me, is still played when British soldiers leave their garrisons, and it's kind of a tribute to the wives and the sweethearts of the soldiers that they're leaving behind as they go off to war. And the second one is a classic of this time period called British Grenadiers, and it's singing the praises of the British Grenadier forces. In every battalion of soldiers, that's 1,000 men, you'd have one company that were Grenadiers, and these were men who stood 5'11" or higher, and they were typically used as shock troops. So,
Cool. Attention. Drums. Ready? Drums. Beat.
Alright.
This is the barracks. Obviously, there wouldn't be a spotlight because it's
There's the cannons. Oh, you've been had. They're coming for you.
there's the British flag. On the American side, there was a huge American flag. Obviously, places that were occupied by the British, they would have a huge British flag. Each one, they were huge in size. And this is what the barracks would look like.
Well, I guess we can go up there if there's a lookout. Oh yeah, I see all the footprints. Okay, we're good.
See, look, this is where the cannons would be. Place them up there.
There's where we were.
This is basically what they would look over with, but if they were big shots, they would have to duck like this or get quickly down the stairs as quick as possible.
Wow, eh?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Before we leave, we're gonna have to get him some water.
These cans would be lined up.
All along in here.
That would be the crest of the crown. This is how big they were.
Look there, I didn't ever notice there was notches on the...
Yeah, they would have notches.
Huh.
That's the way they were marked then. Was by notches. So you knew how big the cannonball would have to be. So
Okay. Where's the... Oh, there it is. The little rampy thing.
that's how you can tell what type of size the cannonball had to be.
This way. You gotta be able to go into one of those to be able to see what they look like though, right?
Because for like the smaller ones, like we saw when we got here, that small cannon, it would be like a notch 1 cannonball. These ones are notch like 30 cannonballs that they would use. There'd be certain notches for different type of designs.
I'm to notice where
And then there's
Fort
these.
Mississauga is.
And there's these.
Maybe it's this one you can go into. We're almost there. We'll get you some water. And there's the building that we started out at. I think it's nice though that you can bring your dogs. Large dogs are not allowed in the building. Small dogs you need to carry. Oh, there. Look, door's open. Oh, good. We can go in there. You got him?
Yes.
Okay.
Look at him, so cute.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, you want to start on that side? Training soldiers. Oh, that's what she was talking about, the rebuild.
Air contribution.
Iroquois. First, Six Nations.
The shameful retreat of December 10th, 1813. And by the way of the bayonet, returned to Fort George on December 19th. Stormed Fort Niagara and surprised the night attack. The American soldiers surrounded with barely a shot fired. The British then marched to Buffalo, burning everything in their path. They controlled Fort Niagara for the month of the river for the reminder of the war. Lieutenant General Gordon Drummond, commander of the Upper Canada, proudly reported to capture Fort Niagara. Dear sir, I am the satisfaction to inform you the Fort of Niagara fell into our hands at 5 o'clock this morning. It was carried by in a most gallant manner by a solid point of bayonet by the troops. Fort Niagara, 5:30 a.m., December 19th, 1813.
Well, look what the fort looked like.
Yeah. You got bears.
Captain James Fitzgibbon was a regular soldier. British Strike Back, 1813. Battle of Stony Creek.
Officers Code, New York State Militia Rule, 1812. Officers Code, 49th Regiment on foot, British Army Wool, 1812. Powder horn, personnel item, cow horn, 1780 to 1813. So it was around during the War of 1812.
Defining moment. Here, switch. Oh, dog ear.
First Nation.
Yeah, we gotta get him some water.
It was A all the way to Y. Focused. There's a musket.
Okay, Ellie, you gotta cool down here.
Well, comparing the original classic to 100.
Wow. Mohawk Chief.
Great Britain.
John Norton.
18th, 1812, Canada came out from Britain was fighting France, and therefore enabled the spare troops and resources to protect the North American colonies. Politically, this war was not universally popular in the United States. Madison needed support of the state militias to support the small and relative experienced professional American army. He also gambled that the many former Americans who had moved to Canada would welcome the armies to rid themselves of British rule. In war, takes the risk from nations to soldiers to townspeople. Beginning of the 19th century was a time of global conflict in Europe. Great Britain was in a life and death struggle with the Napoleonic France, while the North American tensions between Britain and the United States arrived limited war. In Congress, a group of American expansionists felt that ejecting the British from the continent was part of their new country's destiny. These war hawks were claimed by received British views at sea, as well as the British included the Western tribes who resisted the overthrow of the United States. Hostiles were imminent. Fort George at the end and Fort Niagara. They didn't want where when the war.
Oh, there's where we came in, right?
Trying to say something?
Said that's where we came in over there.
Yeah.
Widow Campbell. Oh, missed the whole room. Oh my goodness. Another one freaked me out. I had to double check, make sure. Next thing you know, she moves, freaks the heck out of you.
And that's all the prices.
Fort Major Donald Campbell. Claims and losses.
11 house farm, 600 pounds, 10 silver tablespoons, 10 pounds, 10 dessert spoons, 6 pounds, 5 cents, 20 teaspoons, 5 pounds, 10 cents, 1 silver soup blade, 3 pounds, 4 solid and mustard spoons, 1 pound, 2 silver cups, large, 12 pounds, 1 chest drawers, 0.5 pounds, 13 chairs, £1 15 cents, walnut dining table 6 pounds, 1 4-post bedstead 4 pounds, 1 traveling bedstead 3 pounds 10 cents, 2 camp bedsteads 5 pounds, 1 small bedstead 2 pounds, 1 washstand 1 pound, 5 small tables 2 pounds 10 cents, 1 cow and calf 5 pounds 10 cents, 1 marijuana yearling 30 pounds, 3 Canadian stoves 25 pounds, 2 pair of tongs and shovels, 2 pounds, 1 pair of dog irons, 2 pounds, 1 large oven, 1 pound 5 cents, 1 large wash kettle, 1 pound, 1 bell metal wash kettle, 1 pound 10 cents, 2 iron pots frying pan, 1 pound 15 cents, 1 large copper tea kettle, 1 pound 10 cents, 6 dozen table plates, 2 pounds, 2 dozen dishes, 3 pounds 10 cents, 15 glass tumblers, 1 pound 5 cents, 12 wine glasses, 14 cents, 2 dressing glasses, 2 pounds 12 cents.
Okay, I don't think we need to read it all.
Read it all. The burning of the first capital of Upper Canada. December 10th, 1813 was the first capital on file.